Okay, this is video 3. It's the coiling techniques. So I'm going to show you all the different techniques that you can do with your clay. Remember, there's coil, button, spiral, flattened coil with texture, which is required, and vertical coil. So I'm going to get you started with those different techniques. Make sure you set up your workspace. You've got your tools and everything that you need. If you don't remember what you need to go back and watch video 1 for setting up your workspace. You need your base from last time and some clay to start. So the first technique that I'm going to show you is called flattened coil with texture. Alright, so to start this technique you need some clay, obviously. And you're going to roll yourself kind of a bigger coil. So I want to roll a coil that's a little bit larger than I would normally use. Okay, so can you see this? Like kind of thicker. You're going to take your newspaper and your rolling pin and you're going to want to flatten this. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. And you'll understand why. It's just like when you made your base. If you made this too thin, it would be really like fragile and not as good. So the same thing with this. You can kind of see the thickness here. So you want to take this and add some textures to it. Excuse me. And I have tons of things that you can use. I'm going to show you them. So I have like these textured rollers, and you can roll right into the clay. It gives you kind of a cool design. Okay, some other options is I have a bunch of these paper towel tubes with textures that are drawn on with hot glue, so you can like roll this on to the clay if you want. These also fit right inside the rolling pins, so if that makes it easier. You could combine textures, so I've got all sorts of things over there. There's like, you know, like the mesh from the clementine boxes. Got this cool like green plastic stuff. I don't know what this came from. But you can lay that down over the clay and roll in a texture. You can combine textures. There's a bunch of these. Well, there's some of these like texture rolling pin things. You roll that in. That's kind of a cool one. You can take, I have a lot of different designs of these like rubber texture mats, and you can place these over the clay and get different designs. So you just lay that down and roll this in. You know, you could use just like a section of this. This one's kind of cool. It's got like a star on it. You could take this and like cut this small piece off and use that for something. My favorite ones, personally, are the crocheted doilies. They're really neat, and then the lace. So you would just lay these down. You know that you wouldn't do all of these things at once. I'm just kind of showing you the different techniques. You could lay this down right into the clay and sort of press that in, and that gives you a really cool texture. That's one that I like. Okay, so what would you do with these now? So you could use these as walls. Like so. Could attach that as a wall. I could cut this. Make sure you keep your tools clean. I could cut this into pieces. So maybe I want to just use a small section of it, like that. Okay, so let's say I want to attach this. I like this. I'm gonna do slip and score. So my needle tool has disappeared. Oh, here it is. Just make sure you score. Put some slip on. Here's a little trick. You can touch this down to your vessel, and you see where the slip is remaining? That's where you would want to score into then. So take this. It shows you exactly where to score. And stick that down. Okay? So I could do this a couple of things. Like I could put another one of these walls maybe on the other side. These don't have to, excuse me. These don't have to stay square. You know, you could have triangles. You could have like, I don't know, shapes like this. you know, I would slip and score this, then I could have other things like buttons or spirals that kind of go up that edge. Be kind of cool doing something like that. All right, so I would slip and score these. So now the next technique I'm going to show you is called vertical coil. So let's take some clay. And you're going to roll a coil. This is actually the hardest, I think one of the hardest techniques. Okay, so vertical coil is up and down coil. So kind of like if you have an older radiator, like an older house or radiator, or ribbon candy. Okay, so you can use this as a wall. On here. Now do you see how it's kind of falling apart? That's because I would need to slip and score in between each one of these spaces, okay, and on bottom. You could take these, you don't have to have the spaces in between if you want to kind of squish them all together. And I would slip and score again. I could have a wall like that. This could bend down. It's almost like a handle here on the side, and you could build up on the top of that. These can bend. You can have one piece bend over like this. And then put something else like a button or a spiral or something. So that could be kind of cool. Just pretend I slipped and scored that. I'm not going to do it right now. Okay. The next technique is spiral. Roll a coil. Roll a thinner coil than you normally would. You ready? And you spiral this up. Like so. Okay? And I usually take this end here and I smooth it in. See that? It's a little smoothed in right there. Okay. Then I could attach this. Maybe I want to put this right here. Score. Dip it in the slip so I can see where I need to score here. So I've got my mark, score into that. Okay, so this is going to also touch on the side here. This is a step that a lot of people forget. This isn't going to be super stable if I don't slip and score on the sides, these two edges that meet. If this just could fall over. So I definitely want to score on this edge here and where it's going to meet on the side. And then stick that down. Don't forget to do that. All sides that connect, you want to slip and score. You can do double spirals. Like so. Okay, this could flip over, so it's like that. You could have a little bit of space in between them. You know, this could sit, let's see, maybe like this. That could be kind of cool. Slip and score that. That could be a really cool technique. Like just do these like triangles over and over and then do these spirals that kind of loop down. That could be awesome. Last one is button. All right, so button, take a little bit of clay, roll it in your hand so you have a ball. And that's button. Pretty hard, right? Okay, so take this, score, dip. Well, maybe I want to put it down here. Score on the side, and stick it down. So you can do a whole bunch of different size buttons. You cannot have a button that's like this, like the size of a golf ball. That's too big. It'll take too long to dry. It could crack. You could get air pockets, so don't do that. Okay, and then the last one is just regular coil. And you already know how to roll a regular coil. It's what can you do with it once you get it rolled. So you can do all sorts of things. You can use regular coils to go around the perimeter of your piece again. So if you wanted to kind of, let's say I had this kind of like crazy thing going on. I'm not sure I would use all of these techniques just like this, but you could take this regular coil. You have to pretend all this is slipped and scored together. And this could go all the way around the perimeter here like this. It could kind of like join everything together. It would make it a little bit stronger. You can take this regular coil and it could go up, it could go down here, maybe, and then it could like loop back. Like I could have this kind of loop back over like this. So you can create like these cool, almost like drawing with the clay, with the coils. Create like these cool designs sort of in your clay. Okay, so once you think about these different techniques, make sure you use at least 2. Flattened coil with texture is required. And then have fun with the different techniques. Make sure you slip and score each one of your things.